Hi there, this is Nino Deulis, and I'm going to be reporting to you on the evaluation phase for Team Branjo's project on developing a computer uh, curriculum for first and second grade students. And so with this evaluation, we're going to be looking at teacher feedback that we got from the teachers at the school that we gave the curriculum to and asked them to evaluate the curriculum. The teachers are our direct audience. The students, their students, are sort of our secondary audience, and so we're really concerned with what the teacher feedback is in order to be able to evaluate our curriculum. So we sent a Google form to these teachers and asked them to answer these questions to report this quantitative data that we can look at. The form looks a little something like this, asking a series of questions, rating from 1 to 5, asking them whether they highly disagree or highly agree. And this is the second part of the form. You notice at the bottom there is a place for them to add any additional comments. Not all did, but many did add some additional comments. So let's look at each of these questions individually and the results that go along with them. First off, the first question was the format of the lesson plans and curriculum developed is user-friendly for the teacher. 5 of the teachers reported a value of 4 out of 5, and 3 of them gave us a rating of 3. So on average, that gives us just over a 3.6, and we are relatively happy with that score, although I would have hoped for it to be a little bit higher, especially considering that we had used the lesson plans that the school already uses as their official lesson plan format, and all of the worksheets that went along with it were, relatively speaking, we felt were user-friendly for the students, therefore making it easier for the teacher. There also were some YouTube videos that we had made that were could be used as a tutorial for the teacher themselves, or if the teacher felt free, they could also show that video to the students as well. But it really depends on the lesson that we had that developed for. So if we move on to the second question, the 9 lesson topics cover the necessary computer skills for the grade level. 4 of the teachers gave us a rating of 4, 2 of them gave us a 3, and 2 of them gave us a 2. So half of them gave us a 80% score. I would say you could give us that value there, and that gives us an average of 3.25 out of 5, which isn't a fantastic score, but uh, you have to keep in mind we don't know if the teachers have any knowledge of the ISTE standards and what necessarily those teachers had in mind for what they think the students need in terms of computer skills. We also don't know if the teachers looked at necessarily all topics at every single little worksheet that we gave and things like that, as to whether just how deeply they had looked at our curriculum. If we look at the next question, it says the assessments are age level appropriate. 5 of them gave us a rating of 4, 1 of them gave us a rating of 3, and 2 of them gave us a rating of 2. A couple of low scores is relatively understandable in this case. We had a few pieces of feedback that had noted that some things might be a little bit above the age level that the students are capable of. So that gave us a almost a 3.4 in that overall. I think that one of the YouTube videos that we had, it seemed that it was a little bit more adult friendly, but perhaps for showing to the students might have been a little bit too quick in pace and perhaps a little bit too in-depth too quick. So the teacher could either pause the video or perhaps that could be redone in the future. The next question, the lessons provided can be completed in the class time available. We're kind of all over the place with a 1 each for a value of 1, 2, 4, and 5, and then 4 of the teachers gave us a rating of 3, overall giving us an average of exactly 3. This is completely understandable as well, since there is a 40-minute class period that we have to fit all of this in 9 lessons, 9 lessons each for the first and 9 for the second grade students. It's hard to get all of that material in, and we did kind of struggle with what to leave in and what to take out in order to be able to fit everything into those time periods. Also keep in mind that those developing the curriculum are not necessarily all teachers at that grade level, because we do range from all the way from 1 through 12 grade level teachers in developing this curriculum. The next question, the lessons developed can be easily followed by the students. This is a pretty overall good score. We have 6 of the teachers reporting a value of 4, and then 1 each for a 3 and a 2, giving us a rate average of 3.6 or just above. And we feel that the worksheets that we had developed and the videos, for the most part, were pretty systematic and very routine, that they went nicely together with one lesson to the next, and were relatively easy to be followed by the students. And again, I think that we have the same issues with a couple of lessons that perhaps went a little too fast, tried to fit a little too much, and I think that those were relative outliers with 1 or 2 lessons that we can make some adjustments on. And then our last question that asked for an actual rating was asking for an overall rating for the developed computer curriculum. And this really was sort of similar. We have 6 of the teachers giving us a rating of 4, and then a 1 each for a 3 and a 2. I'm a little disappointed in the rating of a 2, but I kind of feel that with such a small sample size of teachers, with only 8 teachers overall, you can certainly have uh, one teacher who gives us a terribly poor rating. And if you notice, we didn't have any 5s, which unfortunately would have been nice to have some teachers who had, at least in some aspect, had given us a rating of 5, but that certainly didn't happen. And so moving on, as I sort of alluded to, we could have some possible issues with the data. First and foremost, it's a small sample size overall. It's only 8 teachers, and that's simply the way it is, because we are developing the curriculum for a particular school and having them evaluate it. So with that, we have, at this time of the year, we have teacher motivation to evaluate curriculum like this. Uh, it's not going to necessarily uh, they don't necessarily directly contain any of their core content, so I'm not sure how much their motivation is going to be very high to evaluate our computer curriculum. And of course, as I said, the teachers may not have viewed or noticed all of the available content that was provided in the curriculum, such as the YouTube videos that went through things step by step. They might not have seen that, and perhaps that might have changed their view. And so any one teacher who perhaps did not notice all of that curriculum may have given us some lower scores, and with such a small sample size, that can create some sort of outlier issues, if you will. Our SME, our subject matter expert, gave us some feedback on what she thought teachers needed from us and some insight on some of the obstacles. She had let us know that teacher morale is relatively low at this time of the year, and the teachers may not review our project with much enthusiasm due to the testing that's going on at this time of the year, and also some teacher negotiations for the contract that apparently was causing some low morale with the teachers. Everybody involved did agree, though, that more computer time was needed for the students, that that was really became sort of a primary issue that we had all noticed needed to be fixed. If we did have additional computer time, the things that would fix would be that first, lessons can be broken down into smaller pieces, so the students will have more time to finish the lessons in that 40-minute class time. Examples of that directly would be in lesson 3, where they would have more time to go through the online safety challenges using the WebNots interface. That's something that the students reported that they enjoyed, and they themselves wanted more time to work on that. In lesson 4, the students can practice their typing skills more, as it was a typing lesson, and the students themselves, again, actually wanted more time to practice, and the teachers also indicated that they wanted the students to have more time practicing their typing skills, and very much so needed it. In fact, it was reported that many of the students had tried touching the screen rather than using the mouse. And so just simple things like that perhaps we wouldn't necessarily think of. They really could use more time in the computer lab to advance those skills. With Lesson 5, it proved to be too advanced with content from the instructional video, moving too quickly for the students. And so that could be broken up into two parts, perhaps showing half the video one day and pausing the video as necessary, and then in the next lesson showing the rest of the video. And so this, in addition to those issues, the core course content could also be integrated into the lessons as requested by teachers on our Google Forms survey in the additional uh, area where they could put some comments. That was one comment that we had gotten, was a request to put the teacher's core course content in, although we aren't really able to do that necessarily, especially with the time frame that we have available. But if we did this, it would allow for some scaffolding of computer skills being possible, and then integrating that content into that. And that would really allow for the students to really master the computer skills necessary, and then not only would they be learning the core content, but in addition also really mastering their computer skills, and then be able to have those skills for the computer-based testing. So as it turns out, with our recommendation to increase the computer time made available to the students, the building level team has created a workable schedule to allow for 2 additional lessons in the computer lab per week, in addition to what was already there in addition to the 9 lessons overall. And so with that, it looks like we are on our way to solving most of our problems, actually. And so to recap, we feel that there's some overall success project, that it was a successful project overall. And firstly, we have the curriculum developed for the original 9 lessons, first and second grade. We were able to get all that curriculum done. The teachers reported an overall 3.6. Was actually just above that out of 5, which is acceptable. The fixes were recommended and adopted, which is the most important thing out of this, is that we had these recommendations after getting our feedback and our evaluating that feedback. We made our recommendations, and those recommendations were taken and adopted almost immediately, and so more computer time was implemented, and it will be implemented for next year, as it turns out. And so with that, the teachers will be able to implement their own curriculum into future lessons, and allowing this to be a complete curriculum moving forward. And so with that, that's going to end our project. We have an overall success, and with our recommendations, it looks like we have a curriculum that can move forward and sort of be a living curriculum that the teachers can use with the students moving forward. So hope that you enjoyed our little presentation, and hopefully our project was going to be a success moving forward into the future as well as the current. Thank you.